Well, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I have a special guest with me today. The lovely Amanda is joining me for the second time on the podcast. Thanks for saying yes.
You are very welcome.
Thanks
Glad
for
to be here.
coming back. And I thought it'd be fitting since we're in the marriage conversation. Started the brand new series, FaceTime, to have you. And I think you just bring a different element. And maybe some of the things that we talked about, or I talked about, you can bring even some clarity to it about our marriage and how we make it all work and don't work. I think we'll pull back the curtains a little bit and show them that we're on the journey
right.
as well.
Let's do this.
Before I do that, I want to just celebrate Easter, because we did make a couple announcements on Sunday, just how amazing the Easter was.
Incredible.
179 first-time guests. Record attendance, but 214 people making a decision to follow Jesus.
It was amazing. Amazing every service.
So you get like the recap, like I get the recap in that Sunday afternoon on Easter.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like one of those moments I'm like, you're never going to believe this. And I start reading the numbers to you, and we kind of had just like one of those special moments as a family, right? And even like our kids will ask us, even yesterday, Dad, how many people said yes to Jesus? Like that's a normal conversation for us
All the time, yes.
on the weekend, and to have that as a family was really
And
great.
have friends that we invited to show up. That's the best. Really incredible.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
I mentioned that as a staff today. I'm like, hey, some people are data driven, and I'm one of those guys, but there's people that are story driven. Like, tell us the stories of. So one of our staff members, she shared that she's been praying for her hairdresser for 6 years, and for 6 years she's put her name on the sticky note, and she sends a text out that Monday and prays over the text and invites.
Amazing.
And Sunday, her hairdresser's husband come to church. 1, 2, 3. If you just prayed that prayer, raise your hand. And Emily, the staff member, she's like, and I was totally looking, right? Like zeroed in, like
You
locked
cannot
in.
look.
And 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, she raises her hand, gives her life to Jesus. And so as a staff, we were able
It's just
to
amazing.
celebrate that. But we had a friend too.
It was on Saturday. We were running, and that's why we talk about let it just organically happen and say yes when God gives you that opportunity. Just say, hey, I'm going to invite, because it's intimidating.
Yeah.
Even we get weird about it. Like you don't want people to feel like we're manipulating them to come, but. It was so cool.
But she said a question when we asked her, and I kind of like did it in a joking way, like, "Hey, you're coming to church for Easter, right?" And she's like, "Actually, I've been waiting for somebody to ask me."
Which we were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, like failure.
Yeah.
And then you had a moment like, "Well, you're
Always
always
welcome,
invited."
always.
Yeah.
And then Christine was like, "You'll sit with me. I'll go to 9 a.m." And then
Yeah, the
that
1, 2,
was-
3, raise your hand, and she put her hand in the air, gave her life to Jesus,
and that has been 6 years as well.
that's right.
And it's just encouraging that you feel like it's never going to happen with that person. And like Emily praying 6 years, it's just don't lose hope on that.
That's right.
Like his timing is perfect.
That's so
So.
good. So beyond the data, which is amazing, there are stories that are baked into that of life change and people that have been praying for a very long time. And the fact that we just get to kind of be on the ground floor and have a front row seat to all of this is what's amazing for us. And we love it.
It's awesome.
So
A
thanks
privilege.
for coming in.
You're welcome.
And let's have a conversation about marriage. The conversation this weekend was a better marriage. And you were at Saturday night. I'll give a shout out to you. You came to Saturday night because you had a trail run at Lake Pleasant on Sunday morning. And
It was great. It was a
you won
beautiful
first.
day.
You won first place,
Yes.
which is always amazing. You never cease to amaze me. So congratulations.
Lake Pleasant is gorgeous. So if you're an AZ local and never been, you need to go.
Yeah, I've never been. You're sending me like pictures that morning. Like this place is
looks like
amazing, and
the ocean.
yeah,
It's beautiful.
How great.
It was
So
really cool.
congratulations.
Thank you.
So go back to Saturday night. Same message, obviously, for every service. And we talked about the 3 pillars. So I saw another pastor use that illustration years ago of you don't build on the foundation, or you need the foundation, but
Right.
you have to build on it. So what are the 3 major pillars according to the Word of God? And that was complementary, covenant, and then companionship. And so let's talk about complementary and just the fact like we both have equal worth and equal value, but we are definitely different people and we complement each other in the marriage relationship. So I think it'd be fun. Like, what are some of the major differences that we
Oh
have?
dear.
I'm thinking of one right now. Like, just I can procrastinate on some
Oh my
things,
word, yes.
and that I know that drives you absolutely nuts.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, no, we made the decision, let's do it. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it doesn't have to be done for like another month.
But it's helped me too, as much as that drives me crazy, it's helped me calm down a little bit
Yeah.
and be not as everything has to be done right now when I tell you to do it or ask you to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You
Oh.
definitely
But the
have.
procrastination thing, that I don't know how you function. I don't know how
Well,
you do it.
I think okay, but to my defense, it depends on what it is.
That's true. That is true.
It,
And you do better, like even with your messages, you plan it. Everything's planned out, but you know when your brain is ready to go. And
oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Like I mean,
and I get that. I totally get it.
like yeah. It's just that is a major difference that we both
Mm-hmm.
had to learn, and it would frustrate me to death. Like everything when we first got married, for you, everything was burning. There was
Mm-hmm.
no like A, B, C, D. Everything was A. Everything had to be done now.
And that,
And you've
yeah.
grown in that of
Oh,
like,
for
no,
sure.
no, zero
Doesn't
inbox
have
is
to
not the goal.
happen right
Yeah.
when, yeah.
So that's just a
Good.
minor thing that
Mm-hmm.
we've kind of learned. And I think we've complemented each other with that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, that's what God says, right? We both have equal value, equal worth, but different roles and responsibilities.
And I think you talked about it on Saturday. Like, it's okay for me to change a little bit but also like see you and you are different
Yeah.
and that's okay. You don't have to be me and I love that you're not me.
Yeah, celebrate the
So,
differences
it's
instead of
so great.
allowing those differences to
Yeah.
drive a wedge in between
Mm-hmm.
us. And that's what happens. And I don't do much marriage counseling anymore, but that is number one, like the things about them that just drive me nuts. But then I often remind them, but that was probably some of the things that attracted you to that
That's so
person in the
true.
beginning. And they're like, yeah, you're right. And it's just getting comfortable in the marriage relationship or
Mm-hmm.
thinking, they'll change. They'll start to think like me,
Right.
and that never works.
Mm-mm.
In fact, if that's who they are before you get married, that's who they're going to be, and even worse after.
And that's good advice because if you are dating and are thinking about it, that is something. If it bothers you now, it's going to be 100 times
That's right.
more
Yeah,
later.
that's a good word.
Yeah.
That's a good word. The whole in that point I talked about Adam was matching, right, the animals, and I used the illustration of the matching game, and like people came up to me after the services like, "Are you serious? You never let your kids win
No.
at all?" And so just set the record straight. Like we're a pretty competitive family.
We are very competitive.
And we do not let our kids win. I don't
No.
think you're not nearly as bad as me, I guess.
I know we were just talking about this. I feel like I'm nicer.
Yeah, 100% you're nicer, but you're but I
They
don't
always come to me for okay. Can I go play Fortnite, Mom? I go. Why are you asking me?
yeah, because he knows the answer is going to be no. Because I'm going to ask like 10 questions. Is your homework done? Is your
Yes.
room clean? All of the things, and they can't do it on a school night anyway. But
Mhm.
yeah, you're definitely they would say this. I'm the. This isn't a real word, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm the funner parent.
Yes.
You're the
You are.
nicer parent.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Totally.
Yeah. But no, we definitely do not let our kids win in games. If for the longest time, and this is like how our kids progress, even Madden, I'll play Madden with Grayson on PS4.
I hear him crying.
Oh yeah, I would destroy him. But
I'm like, are you kidding me? You gotta let him win sometimes.
oh no, I would like rack up the
then-
score. And there's like one play he could not stop. But here's the thing: that little joker,
He figured it out.
figured it out.
I love
and
it.
now he destroys
Yeah,
me.
you come out all quiet, mopey.
Dude, I'm not
Yeah,
mopey.
you totally are mopey.
I don't know about that.
What
Like,
happened? Oh, Grayson just beat me.
it wasn't like we don't even play much anymore because it's really really bad.
Oh, but that's great though. I love that we're competitive. Our
Yeah.
family. It's good.
Do we set the record straight? We are very competitive and we don't let our kids beat us, but they're getting to the age where they're starting to figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
With sports though, I know Grayson's going to get better than basketball than me at some point, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to that day.
No. But it's a good thing. We want them to be better than us.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
We do.
good. That's a therapy session for
It
another
is.
time.
Okay. Parenting.
That's parenting talk. All right, so complementary. We're different. We have similarities, but we're different, and praise God for the differences. The covenant. Let's talk about that for a moment, because that is the permanent. It's sacred and it's exclusive. I want to hammer in on this idea of like the marriage relationship is the number one priority, and every other human relationship takes a backseat to that.
That's good.
Talk about some of the things that we've done
Mm-hmm.
and how we're just very protective of our relationship. And I think that we can even be a little transparent and honest about I'm in a position, right, where I get lots of emails, lots
Mm-hmm.
of people want to meet, and you're in the same with at the gym. So how have we like put those boundaries and protections in place where people just know, like, nope, Amanda's number one, and that's exclusive. Everything else is far second.
For sure. We just make sure we're never alone with the opposite sex. That's a big thing. I know it's different, not always like in the same context of
Yeah.
like at the gym or whatever, but we just kind of put those boundaries, like you don't meet alone or the door's open.
Yep.
That we're just an open book. You have my passwords to my cell phone. It's just not even.
Yeah.
There's just no secrets.
Yep.
We just keep it open and honest. And hey, I feel a little uncomfortable with this situation, and just share it and talk about it.
Yeah, so we've had to actually do that, right? Just
Mhm.
bring it to the surface, like, hey, man or lady, like this is you're making me uncomfortable,
Right.
and I always just slip in like your name. Even
Yes.
like I know this,
Yeah.
like even at the gym, like when like new guys and new women join our gym, I will walk in and slap you on the butt on purpose, just to like that is a
Mhm.
thing for
Yeah.
us. So a couple weeks ago, it's really funny. A new guy joined the gym, and and then he also runs. So on a Saturday morning, he's running with all the run group at our house,
Mhm.
and he looks at me and goes, "Where do you live?" And I'm like, "Here." It's like, "Oh, you're Amanda's husband." And so I told you that story later. He's like,
Mhm.
"How did he not know
I know.
that?"
I'm like,
When you
you're.
walk into the gym and you immediately like put your hands all over me,
I know. Like you're
maybe
the
he just
creeper
thought,
guy
maybe he just thought that I was like
touching me.
the sexual harassment dude at the gym.
We're kicking him out.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's a way everybody just kind of knows like this is priority number one,
Mhm.
and so I mentioned like mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, they go second. Your kids go second. It's just making it's the intentionality of nope, you're number one.
And
Everything else is second.
even you talking about it on Saturday, how having the kids, they can take so much of us
Yeah.
and just making us, okay, no, we are a priority here.
That's right.
And I feel, because we're in that, there's so many, there's football, there's volleyball, there's this and that. And then we look at each other, I'm like, it's 9:00 at night and we're exhausted.
Yeah.
So it's just making sure we have been really intentional on dates and even like going for a run together.
Yeah.
It's just those little moments mean so much
Yeah,
and are so important.
It's
Because
just
then
the
you just
priority. Yeah.
you kind of get in that mundane, just going through life together. We're not just doing that. We're enjoying life together. We're doing it together. It's
It's really
not
good.
the companionship part of it.
Yeah, so I think that's a perfect segue into the companionship. So I didn't put these in the notes, but we'll throw them in the podcast notes. This is from Steve Carr's book, and the book is Married and How to Stay That Way. So he mentions 6 areas of companionship in marriage. So spiritual companionship.
Mhm.
Let's talk about that for a minute. That's the idea of being equally yoked.
Oh yes.
And that's like, hey, so I would never tell, it's never a good idea to marry or date somebody that's not a believer, not
Mhm.
moving in the same direction. And this is what I'll often hear. Oh, no, I'll evangelize him. Like I'll get him to come with me to church. And I said this in one of the services. Most likely he will get you into bed before you get him into church. That is 9 times out of the, so I just say like, wait, like, let's see if he's a legitimate follower of Jesus before you'd ever go down that road. So spiritual companionship is huge. And then as a married couple, I think just making sure you have the same values,
Right.
the same desire to follow Jesus in every area of your life. Like that is huge.
And
in your
too, like
companionship.
we're both on a different spiritual journey, right? So, but it's also coming, like our same values are there.
Yep.
Same how we raising our kids to love Jesus, and love the church and all of that. So
Yeah, that's good. That's
it's
a
really
big
good.
piece for us. The verbal companionship, that's the communication. I think that we have gotten so much better.
A lot better.
Oh, our first couple years were
Really bad.
touch and go. Well, I
Do you
mean,
ever get flashbacks?
oh yeah. Preparing sermons like this, I'm like, man, I don't think I could have preached this sermon our first or second year of marriage.
No.
It was
I
rough.
think it was a lot of me. I had to grow up a lot. So
Well, to your defense, though, I did too. I was very selfish. I was living on my own
that's
for several years. I was used to like
your way.
my way, absolutely. And then getting married, you moving to Michigan, where we bought a house, you got a new job, first married, you wanted a dog. Can we
So
share
many
this?
new things.
Our first major argument
Oh yes.
being married. Remember that?
I do.
You wanted a
Chinese crested.
Chinese crested powder puff dog. And I said in the
I'm
moment,
not
oh, yeah.
high maintenance at all.
I said, oh, yeah, no problem at all. No problem. And then you told me, well, there's a new litter from some lady like in Ludington, Michigan, an hour away, and they're $1,200. And now that isn't like today, that would still like be, that's a lot of money. But when I was a college young adult pastor and you were a part-time music teacher at a charismatic Christian school,
Yeah.
we got paid $0. Like, I don't know how we were surviving.
But we were gonna have that dog.
Oh, and I remember
Yes.
we taking a walk through a neighborhood,
I remember it too.
and I say, babe, I don't think that we can do this. Like $1,200, that's a huge amount of money. And we wanted to buy a house and all these different things. And I remember, this is gonna be embarrassing for you, but let's just say it. Like you yelling with like veins popping out of your neck, like, you moved me here from Rhode Island to Michigan. You're getting me this damn dog. And guess what,
Yeah,
everybody?
we got a
We
dog.
got the dog.
He was the best.
You did let me name him.
Yes, I did.
Named him Rudy after my
Rudy.
favorite football movie.
He's a good dog.
But so we have come a long way in just how we communicate.
Yes.
Right time, right
Yelling
place.
is not the best.
Well, I mean, I also came from a home that didn't yell at all, and you came from an Italian home where
That's all we
it's
do.
pretty common. So learning, like that's not healthy, and that's not healthy. There's
A good
probably
balance.
probably a
come in the
balance in
middle.
between there. So we've definitely learned how, and I think therapy has helped us with that as well. The third thing is emotional companionship. This is a big thing, and this is letting each other know how you're feeling, and not just like lashing out, but just saying in a calm voice, "Hey, I have some feelings around that." Here's a tool that we've learned. Maybe this will be helpful for some people. Is when we have to talk about like something that's bothering us, like a feeling of just saying, "Hey, I have a thought or I have anxiety around this deal. Would you be interested in hearing what I have to say?" And every smart married person is going to say, "Yeah, I would love to know what your thoughts are, feelings are around that." And what you just did, this is a trick, is you just gave me permission, or I gave you permission to tell me how you're feeling.
Right.
And that is massive. That tears down walls immediately, and that opens up the floodgates of just emotional communication, which has been a good thing for us as well.
Yes, and kind of speaking into the feelings, when we some therapies, I forget his name, he was amazing, but for some reason I would almost feel like I shouldn't feel certain
Yeah,
ways.
that's right.
And your feelings are valid. You are feeling something. Now, if you act out like that anger, I feel anger. If I'm acting out on it, it's like with our kids. Your behavior, we're more worried about the heart and the attitude rather than, okay, you did
That's right.
you did that behavior. So like address the feelings that we're feeling in that moment, but acting out on them is a whole nother thing.
Well, I think too for me, as if I'm honest with you about my feelings, you're able to say, "Well, I think those feelings are lying to you,"
Right.
or "Those feelings are off base."
Yes.
And having another voice, I think, especially your spouse,
Oh, it's so helpful.
is a game
Because
changer.
they know
with
you.
that.
They see
Now
you.
you have to be in the right spirit to talk about feelings, right? Because that it can get sideways quick. But if you do it in the right moment, I think you're able to process your feelings really, really well. And again, I would say that we're still on our journey with that of figuring out our emotional companionship. The fourth one, real quickly, is the recreation companionship. Just having fun together, working out. I talked a lot about that this weekend. One of the best things for our marriage was the moment you walked in and says, "I'm going to CrossFit, and I would
Right.
love for you to come with me." And what I do, I YouTube CrossFit, and you see like these huge women that could bench press me. And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing
They
this.
probably could.
It's super insecure. And you're
Ugh.
like, I really want to do this and I want you to come. And I remember walking through that gym. I'm like, this is not for me. But a month later, I figured it all out, started to love it. I think that's one of the best things that happened to our marriage.
I totally agree. It was awesome.
Was doing something like that together. So thank you
You're
for forcing
welcome.
me to do CrossFit.
I mean,
And now look at you. We own a gym and I'm
see?
running 3 days a
Thank-
week with
I,
you.
I
Like,
can't
let's,
believe that.
By me either.
It's
It's
so
terrible.
great.
The fifth thing is the parental companionship. We'll talk more about this in the parenting
Yeah.
podcast, but that's making sure you're on the same page at how you're raising your kids. So huge. And then
That
you want
is
to talk a lot about this one? This is the last one.
I do not.
It's the sexual companionship. And I just think we need to call it what it is. It's one of the most important parts of a healthy marriage is a healthy sex life. Like there's no doubt about that. And I think you grow with that as well, right? That's something that the longer you're married, the better and better it gets. I'm a firm believer in that. And that's the intimacy level of into me you see. That's why I like that he puts sexual companionship last. That if you're doing all of these other things, the spiritual, the verbal, emotional, recreational, and parental, that last piece will take care of itself.
It will.
You just have to work at it, but I'm telling you, like that's like the last piece. If you're filling and I'm filling, we're filling the cups of each other emotionally in our companionship level, the sexual piece, it takes care of itself. I mean, honestly. So any thoughts you want to talk about sexual companionship?
You do such a great job.
Somebody asked me if we're going to bring back who was it? It was last week. If we're going to bring back the Song of Solomon series at some point.
I don't want you to do that.
And I'm like, I think we're going to bring that. We're going to dust that off and bring that back. Okay, last thing though, this is the application is because there might be people listening to this and being like, man, our marriage is on the struggle bus. And I know in a crowd of our size and both campuses online, and I know of marriages right now that are hanging on by a thread. So I wanted to end with like, hey, there's going to be an enemy. We do have an enemy. He's going to attack. Here's like 3 quick things. And number 1 is to pray. Pray for your spouse. And I didn't say this, I meant to. Don't pray, God, fix my spouse.
Right.
Like that is not the prayer to pray.
Yes.
The prayer is like, God, like together, let's figure this out. And break my heart. Like change me. And if both of you are praying that prayer and praying for each other, like that's where breakthrough happens. I love what one author said. Prayer is what focuses our mind, strengthens our will, and brings our emotion under the control of the Holy Spirit, which talks about the complementary, the covenant, and also the companionship piece. The last one is give grace. I'm a failure. You're a failure. Like we both have tons of sin. And when you think you get married, like it's all going to go away. There's just way more sin to deal with.
True.
So giving grace, forgiveness, keeping short accounts, anything you want to add to that?
No, it's just loving you through it and knowing that I'm going to make a mistake and you're going to make a mistake and it's okay.
That's right. That's good.
We're in it together.
And then the third one is like trust God's word. Don't trust your feelings. Your feelings are valid, but beyond like decisions lead and your feelings will follow.
Exactly.
So I wanted to end on this. Covenant marriage says, and I think this is going to touch somebody that's speaking or listening. Covenant says, I'm willing to be unhappy for a season while we figure it out. And every marriage that I know has ups and has downs. Don't allow the down. Don't make any crazy decision when you're down or even when you're that high for that matter. Like trust God's word. God created marriage. It's his idea, his plan. So return to him, return to these principles, and that's how you have a better marriage. So, and we're figuring it out.
We are, but it's good.
It's really good. It's the hardest thing we've ever done, but it's the best thing we've ever done. And I love you.
I love you too.
And I'm grateful. I think people love having you on the podcast. It's true. DJ said, if a man is on a podcast, she's going to get way more views than what I get. And guess what? He's absolutely right. There's like triple the amount of views when you show up than when it's just DJ and me. So we need to bring you back on here more often to help us out.
Whatever
Deal?
you need.
Really?
I'm here.
Let's go.
I'm for you. I'm supportive.
You're willing?
Yes.
No, you're the best.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, as DJ always says, The church is not a building that you sit in, but it's a movement we get to be a part of to reach one more life for Jesus.
It's good.
A fist bump for your wife.
Oh, yeah.